Lost your speed bump? Want your performance back? Why don't you try this? You'll recall in the last video, we took the speed bump off, like some people recommend you take that off, and you see just how dramatic the difference is when you're losing performance. You get less penetration and you can't get the axe back. You might break the handle. And I said, let's tell people don't take the speed bump off, which is probably better called the bust. What happens if you did? Well, you remember in that video, I talked about the side bevels doing the same thing as the speed bump. The speed bump does it right behind the sharpening bevel. The side bevels do it further up the cheek. So we're going to put some side bevels on here, and we called it a 1-2 punch. Which punch is more powerful? I'm going to bet I can get my performance back by putting those side bevels in. Let's take a look.
Comes out. Bust side. Comes out. Let's really go. Let's really give her one. Bust side. Comes out. Bevel side. Comes out.
Now I want to put up the before shot again. Look at that, how it's lifting the whole stump. I can't get that out. I have to put my foot, I have to stand on it and pull up, and I'm afraid I'm going to break the axe handle. So very dramatic difference. I don't consider I have enough authority to teach this, but I can show you what I did.
Who in the world is this guy back here? Doesn't he have some of the coolest axes on the planet? He's making them look good. I hope that somebody's giving him some sponsorships or something, because in his hands, those are looking awfully nice. But I don't want to poach his video forever, so I won't keep that on there. What I want to talk about is I don't have those axes, but I can probably get some better performance out of the axes that I do have. When I was done with the video, I'm left wondering, what am I going to do with it? Because this side, in some applications, in some chopping applications in hardwood, this performed so distinctly better than this side where I did take off the bust. I see how it's smoothed down. I took that down so that it's got more of a rounded bust. And this baby just sticks. So what am I going to do with it now? I've got a side that performs really well. See? Beauty. And I've got a side, and we're going to save this too for the evaluation of Collins. Can I recommend them? No, I don't want to make a recommendation for what axe you should buy. Am I sorry that I got it? No, I think it's a lot better than what I expected it to be. The Collins has impressed me because I expected it to be worse than it is. Do you remember why I picked this one? Do you remember why I picked the axe? Because its faces are absolutely flat. And so for the test, I was taking away one of the interfering, or the variable of how convex is the cheek this way to this way. This one has no cheek bevels. Cheek bevels, you remember me talking about how the cheek bevels were part of a 1-2 punch for making an axe efficient. This protects this part of the edge right after the bust from coming in contact with the wood. It's causing separation, immediate, abrupt separation with the wood. And then the side bevels took over. Remember on the ugly wedgeling, I drew a line from just beyond the sharpening bevel across and just in front of the eye across, and then I scalloped that out. I knew I was going to do that to this one. I was not going to let this stay flat face, because flat face in any wood big enough to accept the full height of the bit, it's going to be a detriment. Now, if you're just out there trimming or limbing, it might not be a problem. Anything you can cut in 1 or 2 swings, who's going to notice? You do whatever you want. But in wood, 8, 9, 10 or greater inches in diameter. So I'm going to make that more efficient by beveling this. Now, how much do I have to bevel it is going to be one question right away. Because on the ugly wedgeling, I think I took way more material than I needed to. So how much do I need to take this down? I don't have a lot of room. That's kind of thin. So I want to come down as close to the bust as I can, but I'm not going to be able to do much until I get back up into here. And then when I do it, how much do I want to leave in the middle? Because I don't want to touch this part right here. I want that to stay wedgy. This doesn't have a lot of wedging capability. I'm not going to reduce it further. I want to come back toward the sharpen. I got to leave some room, because over time, as I sharpen this, I will prematurely end the useful life of the axe if I bring that down too close to this bevel, because at some point I'm going to need to bevel this. As this wears down, I'm going to need to put the sharpening bevel back on, and I need some distance to come back. So I'm going to come in as close as I can, which I think is reasonable in the temper line, and then sweep it up here and take it out like a little hump right there. And same up here, I'm going to come across, take it out a little bit. How deep? I love this axe. You've heard me say it a million times. This is their Dayton pattern felling axe on a 36-inch handle. Comes out to be about 35. And everything, they did everything. I don't like a lot of their, the palm swell on their other axes. I like that one. Look at the grain. Oh, this feels so good to swing. And for this length, with this weight, 3.5 pounds, it's springy and whippy enough. It's thin enough. I don't need to thin it down. I didn't have to change the handle. I also didn't have to rehang it. I started to, because every council tool I bought, bought not quite a dozen. They're infamous for their sports utility line. Now, I'm not talking Velvacut. Velvacut's a premium line. I'm talking about the one they sell you for cheap, sports utility, which I like to call the do-it-yourself premium axe kit, because they're giving you everything you need to make a really good axe, but they're not doing it for you in the factory. They leave you extra thick handle. They leave it plenty tall off the top. Even this one's a little bit high, but they leave it plenty tall. Those other axes, they leave a little bit proud. And they're hung so that you can immediately rehang them. Some people put them on a different handle. You saw Buchan put it on his own handle because that was his preference, not because there was anything wrong with a council tool handle. The handles are fine. In fact, I almost cried because I thought, like, if you don't want it, Buchan, if you don't want that handle, can you just knock it out and send it to me? Instead of just whacking it off. To me, it seemed like waste, but it was probably drama for the episode. You'd almost think, well, isn't that the same as a Branton Cochran main wedge? No. Difference between a main wedge and a Dayton. There, you see the gap? Classic Dayton. If you have a flat-faced axe, you don't have a Dayton. But you see, that's scooped. And it's not much. That's really slight. Look at that. And yet it works. What happens is, this is at this angle. See that? And then when you get back here, this is at this angle. And that's what's causing a separation with the wood. Keep that. Don't file this part down. Keep that, because you want that separation. Now, of course, by the time you get back up here, what did we show? Right here. Come here, you got to see this. Okay. There, now you can see it. So by the time I'm up here, it's coming back up. When does it meet this angle again? Probably right about here, it's starting to meet it again. So by the time you get your blade sunk in here, if you can get your axe in this far, and like say you're splitting, pop, she's going to split. Okay, we're not done. I want you to notice this part now. This is, do you see this? Let me see if I can get it to show again. You see it's got rocking room? Rock and roll, baby. It's not much, but that's not flat. Even when I get up here to the hump, that's not flat. Council tool, you clever devils, because that's a classic trick to make a good axe. This is called side beveling. When they It's an extra step they had to take, which is another reason Council Tool is an extremely good value. They're going extra steps, but they're not charging a premium price for this, which is their sports utility line. So that's what I mean by the 1-2 punch, because I'm not trying to get all of this into the wood. I'm only trying to get this into the wood. And then to make sure it doesn't grip, I'm keeping this a little thicker to keep these out of the top and bottom here out of contact with the wood. So massive penetration, and it's holding the wood apart so that it penetrates deeper and comes out easier. Council Tool has barely relieved the top and bottom for the side bevels. And whatever they did works. This works in the red pine. This axe loves that dead standing red pine. Massive penetration. And it works. It's cutting stuff out. It chips stuff out compared to Council Tool jersey. Council Tool jerseys, they do not work like this.
It's probably a little late to ask you to lay your money down, but do you wager a bet here that that's going to restore performance on that side? I kind of think it will. Watch this.
Because harvestable lumber goes here, a mill's got a contract with them, and they take that away. And then this side is the stuff that's not harvestable. This is where I can do my chopping and take some of the stuff out. But let's see if we got any lumber back. Well, a lot of the stuff I was chopping is gone. I had a pile of split wood here when I left. I split it all. Somebody came and got it. What a mountain. Does that weaken it too much? See if I can get that focused in on there. Does this weaken it too much? I don't think so, because I left so much of the middle alone. That was nice. Okay, so that went 4 fingers for sure. Now let's flip it around and try that side. Yeah, that's better. Oh wow, look. Look, let's see, okay? Got a nice 45, like the first one. And we'll do it again. But let's see. See how far that went in there? It went right up to where it's starting to spread. So I'm getting nice penetration. Let me see here.
So I detached the audio here because it's like listening to Alvin and the Chipmunks with an axe. And all I'm doing is just repeatedly checking depth, checking cut. Then I'll check to see how does it wedge out chips. Start off with small notches, increase the size of the notches, and just keep going. And then I'm going to go after I do the notches. Then I'm going to just try to get it stuck. I'm going to go down and hit it in line with the grain, working toward the end where it had gotten stuck before, and I can't make it stick. I'm just switching. Bust side, bevel side, bust side, bevel side. It's not stickable. Then I pick out, this is pine. Last time in the last video I misspoke, that was blue spruce, not pine. This is long needle pine, a long needle pine. So I'm working like a devil to get it stuck in there. Cannot make it stick. It's going in deep, and then I'm able to just wrench it out. So what we've done
As
worked.
far as chipping the softwood, it's doing it now. That is the bevel side. Does not stick at all. And it was removing these chips. All right.
And now we'll try to get it stuck in the stumps because last time I was able to split, they had some dried wood out there, but the problem is this one's rotten. So I'm able to sink it in there pretty deep.
Bevel side. We'll do a quick thing here.
But I'm confident it will come out. And it did. All right. That's the bus side. That's the bevel side. Did a better job on that notch though. Let's try to clean up this notch with the bevel side.
Well, we should compare it to its model, shouldn't we?
I didn't feel a difference. Of course, I like the Constable handle better. You tell me. Huge difference in performance? They're about the same. Ladies and gentlemen, I did it. That is now an effective axe, even without the speed bump. Took the speed bump down on that side, put side bevels on, recovered the efficiency. Next question. What will happen if I do that to the bus side?